if your business handles a physical inventory, whether you sell products, you do wholesale, or whichever, there's a high possibility that you need a system to manage these inventory locations. And on 390, we've made it possible that all of these inventory locations can be listed here in the system, and all items that come in and goes out of these locations can be tracked within the 390 system. Okay, and this enables you having real-time visibility into all of the activities that go on, and you don't need to guess where your items are, their stock levels, or whatever. Okay, so we built this so you know what you have, where they are, and what they are worth. Okay, so what is inventory management? Generally put, this is the process of tracking all of your products, stock levels, and the movements, the here and the there of those items, and the general valuation across your business. Okay, if you have an inventory location, you definitely need to manage. If you do not have a system or mechanisms to manage, even if it is a spreadsheet, that's also okay. But within 390, you'll be able to completely manage all of these things. Okay, why does it matter? It matters because when items are low, you'd want to know so that you can buy new stock. And when items, if you have the same items in stock that have not been sold, you can easily just see it without actually going to a physical inventory to count. Okay, it helps you to know that your items are not stolen, you are not running at a loss, and to also to gauge the expiry dates of all of these things. Okay, it just wants to help you know what you're selling and what it's wasting. So there are different types of inventory we carry or we cover in 390. And we have from raw materials to supplies to assets to intermediate products and to actual final finished products. All of these things have different inventory on 390. So raw materials are used in production, then you can set production locations that will have inventory and all of that. Then there are intermediate goods as well. Every single thing we have on the screen here can be stored in inventory locations rather. So 390 is completely based on inventory locations because it's modeling the real life usage of these locations. All right, so now let's move into adding these inventory into items, into the locations. Okay. All right. The first thing to look at is the App Store or the Activate modules section to look for inventory. And the module here has just some few things. And just be able to access, you can view analytics or manage the inventory. If you can manage, it means you can add, you can remove, you can delete all of those kinds of stuff in inventory. Okay, so if you want anybody to just be able to see the inventory items or locations, just give them only the access like this. And if you want them to be able to view the analytics of any inventory, then give them. But if you don't want them to be able to add, remove, etc., just leave out the manage inventory option. Okay, so I'm going to save that now so we can proceed with the inventory. All right, so we have the inventory here already in the operations module. And inventory, we've already touched some things underneath, which is purchase orders and intermediate products and raw materials. We've touched this in different videos. And now the inventory is modeling the real life visibility of inventory, which is about actual physical locations. All right. So the first thing would be to add different locations as you might have. So from the example there, let's say we have a location at the inventory location at Lagos Island. Let's say we have another place at Aja, which is a place in Lagos here. So let's work with these two inventory locations. So if I go here, these are the two inventory locations that let's say we have for this business. Let's say we have another inventory location in Abuja generally, wherever in Abuja. Okay, and this would also create another location. So you can create every single place where your stores are, anything, you can have them here in your locations. All right, so let's start with Lagos Island. Okay, this is the online, let's say, mirror of what your actual inventory looks like physically. Okay, so there are a couple of things there. The first one is to manage updates or deletes. You can definitely just change the name of that inventory location. And there's an option here to archive. So archive means we do not use this inventory location anymore, though there were items in that location at that time. So archive is just more, we do not want to delete a location because we do not want to delete or get rid of or not be able to access the inventory movements in and out of all of those places. So whenever you don't need an inventory location anymore, just come here and archive. So when you archive a location, you'll see here that the location has been archived. So if we go back to the general list, you'll see the archived there. And what that also means is that when you want to add a transaction and you go to new transaction and you want to select an inventory location for a physical product, you would not see the archived location here, which means we do not sell or carry out any activity from that place. However, we can still see all of the history and everything with our location here. So let me go back and archive that so we see what that looks like. So the first things we would need to do is to add the items to the inventory. And there are a couple of things here as well before I do that. There is the inventory value, which will just tell us the cost of all of the items in this particular inventory location. And there will be history, which would also tell us all of the activities that happened within this inventory location. So the purchase, the new stock, the sale, the production, whatever it is, we'll see the history here. And we can customize that or filter that based on the date. All right, so let's start with updating an inventory location. And in this case, the location has been selected by default, Lagos Island, and the offering. So we called it offering because this location can have either products, can have assets, can have supplies, can have everything. So you could name it, you could name this particular place maybe main office. And the main office, you could have all of the, or let me put it this way. We could say main office supplies. And in this case, we know everything we want to have within this particular location will be all of the supplies. And if you also want to do maybe main office, let's say assets, in this case, we can create all of the assets here. And if you look at the assets video and supplies video, I mentioned we'll be looking at inventory and how to be able to store all of these things. So you can have, let's say, a supply called or an asset called generator. That generator can be in main office, can be in head office, can be in any of the branches, wherever. This is how you define all of those locations and you can move things from one place to the other. Let's do a simple analysis. So let's say there's main office assets, and then let's look at a place called out of town, or rather, let me just call it head office. Head office and main office are the same. So let me just say sub branch or branch office assets. Okay, so this now, as you can see now that there are two different locations. So if I go to branch office assets, I can then add any type of offering here because there are assets that we're looking for. So we can say, remember we created a generator as an asset. However, we will not be able to add an asset here in this location. I can see. So because we have limited in 390 such that you would not be able to do all of this. So let me use another example. Let me jump to supplies. Okay. So with supplies, yeah, let me come here, then choose a supply and say that we want, I'm trying to see the one we use. Let's say glue. And the glue we have here, let's say we purchased a new stock, or let's say at the time when we created this location, we have about, because it's in packs, remember, we have packs here from supplies. So let's say we have 60 packs of glue in the main office, all right? And as the opening balance, there are different options we have here. There is new purchase, whether you just want to manually increase or decrease the count, or you want to transfer out, or all of those. Okay, so let me just update that inventory. Then now we can have 60 packs of the raw material called glue here. Okay, and is it a raw material? Let's quickly check. Raw material. Okay, it's a raw material called glue. Okay, so now let's look at, so it's not meant to be in this folder. So I made a mistake with this folder. Let's see, main office supplies. Okay, let me rename this particular place to main office raw materials. Okay, so I've named that main office raw materials. Then let's say we have other things in this particular place. Let's say we have flour if you handle If it's a production environment, you can see you have flour and everything. But let's look at jar one and say that this is a new purchase. We purchased 10 pieces. So you can see the quantity here. Okay. Then you can add any other notes. Maybe this is just to add some default items. Okay. So if I proceed to updating the inventory, we'll then see that this is categorized based on the bottles. And we can see that there are 10 pieces of the bottles rather, and there are 60 packs of glue. Then I can proceed again to say that, okay, maybe we want to add some flour and maybe it's a new stock again, and say that maybe this is, let's say we bought 60 kg of, remember there's also the unit here, 60 kg of flour, then we update that. So initially when you do all of these things, you can categorize everything. If you notice, you can see now that in the entire flow, there are, because I'm just coming up with these things on the fly, I'm trying to know what should be in different locations and all of that. But in your case, this will be done one location after the other, excuse me. So if you look at branch office assets, you would have to come here. Then based on all of the offerings that have been added, the assets are meant to show here. So we'll check that after this video. So you can come here and add all of the assets that you have within this particular branch. You add everything here, it will update. Then you go to the other location, main office assets, you add those assets here as well. Then you go to the main office raw materials. As you've seen, you can add everything here as well. If you go to the inventory value, we've already done a general calculation based on the number of items that we have in this location. So you can see now that there's a unit price which was picked from the respective prices of all of these things. And there is a subtotal here on the right. And you can see now that basically it already tells you all of the amount of all of the goods that you, or the amount of all of the goods, or yeah, goods, raw material, supplies, and assets, whichever that you have in this particular location. Okay, and you can see the history here. History is going to take you through a top to bottom view of the number of items that were there by default. So for flour, there was a purchase, and which was the first? Yes, there was a purchase where I first of all add 0, then I purchased 60, then now we have 60 as a new item, and I added that at this date and time. Then I also purchased based on this jar one, and there's a note that I added at that time. And initially it was 0, and now I added 10, and now we have 10. Then glue already has an opening balance, and that, and that, and that. So if I come back here, and let's say for flour, I bought, let's say 30 kg more, I could just come here and say flour, and it was a new purchase, and I bought 30 kg more, and I added that, then that stock should increase to 90, which just did. Okay, so next, if I go back to the inventory value, I would see now that flour has moved to 90 kg and the price has just gone up. So the worth of my inventory is fully reflected here on the system for me to see. Okay, and if I go to the history, I see that for the flour, because it's from top to bottom, I initially bought 60 kg and it was 0 plus 60 equals 60. Then next I bought 30 kg, which was 60 plus 30, which is now 90 kg. So I should know that I have 90 kg of flour in this particular location, such that if I click on this particular location now, flour, I can see now that breakdown here as well within, and I can check the filter and different things entirely. So from here, I can click view raw material. That will take me directly to that particular raw material where I can see the original price and all of that from here. And I can go back, and if I go back, I would be able to also update the stock of this raw material directly from here. The location has already been selected. I just need to choose whether there was any kind of updates that happened in here. Okay, so there are other things here like setting up stock alarms. I'll do this in a separate video so this doesn't get too long. And I would also handle transfers of items from one location to the other in a different video as well, so that this doesn't get too long. So yep, we also have the search. So I could just search in the case where you have a very long list of items in your inventory. You can just search here and it would help you filter all of those things. So this is introduction to inventory on 390. As a quick recap, you can create different locations. You can use different types. This for assets, so you can have all of your assets in one location, and you can have another asset in other location. You can have your raw materials in your main office. If it's your factory, you can have your raw materials there. And if for different states, you can have your raw materials in those places as well. Then you can then start transferring items from one location to the other or adding. Okay, so this covers that. I'll continue in the next video.